Alright guys, welcome back to another J.O.P video, and today we're talking about a movie that actually released last week, and of course this is Superman. Haven't talked about it yet, but I was able to watch it twice throughout the week, and now I think my opinion has settled on the movie, so let's just jump right into it. Alright, I just want to jump into my favorite thing about Superman, and that's just how heroic he is. He's always trying to save people and things. I mean, there's literally a scene where Superman saves a squirrel from getting obliterated. There's a scene of him saving a little girl from getting obliterated. And that's what Superman should be about. You know, he cares about the little things. He cares about the destructions and the fights. And I just love to see that because, you know, we didn't really see that too well in Man of Steel with the too realistic side. But here, you know, especially when Superman's fighting the big kaiju, and he's caring about the destructions he's making, especially when the Justice Gang comes in, which is Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl. We'll talk about them later. But they're fighting the kaiju, and all he's trying to do is kind of do damage control, you know? He wants to fight this creature without harming the civilians of Metropolis. But the Justice Gang comes over and just tries to fight it in a cool way. You know, they're the cool heroes. As the civilians start, woo, as they pull up. But yeah, this Superman is just super hopeful, and he cares about this world and its inhabitants. And I enjoyed that, like, so much. Now, I guess from there, we'll talk about the Justice Gang a little, which I did enjoy, but I feel like they could have been given more to do. But now, saying that, I'm glad it is a Superman central movie, and that these are just kind of side characters there for comedic humor and just a little of the plot. Because, you know, Mr. Terrific has the most to do, and this movie made me love the dude. I didn't really know anything about him before, like, from the comics. James Gunn made this, like, the most badass, kind of funny dude ever, and honestly, like, after Superman, he's like my favorite character for sure. I mean, Guy Gardner's cool and funny, but he's now nowhere on the level of this dude. Like, his technology and the way he fights, it's just super cool and super enjoyable to watch. I don't know how many times I'm going to use that word in this movie, enjoyable. That's what this movie is, just so enjoyable, so entertaining, so rewatchable. And yeah, I mean, it's not going to be my best or my favorite movie of the year or anything, but it's definitely going to top 5, top 10 up there for sure. That's just how entertaining it is, for me at least. But yeah, like I said, Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl, they weren't used too much. They did help with like kind of a subplot towards the end of the movie, but they maybe got like 5-10 minutes of screen time and really no character development. But as we go throughout this universe, I really hope they do kind of show them more. As, like I said, you know, they definitely had a presence with them in the movie, and it kind of sucks that it wasn't explored, but James Gunn really did need to focus on Superman, because there's so many things in this movie, and I feel like if you really tried to dive into the Justice Gang more, it would have just fell a little long and kind of unneeded. So I'm kind of happy what they did with them at the moment, and we'll see what they do with them in the future projects as well. But yeah, I mean, staying on the lane of super powered characters, there's also the Element Man, Metamorpho in here. There's also Crypto, which is very enjoyable and cute, because I mean, it's Superman's dog. I mean, it's a dog, so it's going to act like a dog, and I feel like that's so cute, because I have a dog of my own, my friend has a dog, and it's just so relatable, because they really get the attitude of a dog down. Like, Crypto acts like how my dog would act if she had superpowers, and I don't know, I feel like there's a funny element to that, and it's just kind of sweet. And of course, Metamorpho, who has the powers to change into elements, super cool. You know, he can change into something like the sun, or he can make something like the sun, and he can change into kryptonite, you know, which is powerful against Superman. And I don't know, what they did with this character, I feel like is cool. I feel like this is like one of the least humorous characters. Yes, he does have funny parts to him, but where you meet him and kind of like what's happening with that, I feel like, yes, it like how they go about it is in a joking way, but it also has a serious notion about it. Now, I mean, The whole supporting cast is just great. Let's just talk about the main villain, Lex Luthor, and Nicholas Hoult. He did a great job. I mean, he's just so evil. He hates Superman so much, and the movie shows that. Like, the hatred that Lex holds for Superman is his personality, basically. Everything he's doing in this movie is to stop Superman, and I mean, yeah, that's basically what Lex should be. Lex should be envious. Lex should be jealous about how they view this alien from Krypton as a superhero and a protector of this planet. And they make that very understandable and where he's coming from while making you not agree with him and what he's doing at all. Because he makes some conniving freaking choices, some crazy choices throughout this movie that's like is rotting in hell for. Superman's posse is also just very entertaining, and they actually are given something to do. Jimmy Olsen, the ladies' man, is kind of a very important part to bringing Lex down in this movie, and I honestly did not expect that from him. And the connections he has, and honestly, he's the reason that this plot can move along, as he helps out Lois, he helps out Superman, and honestly, Jimmy's a dog. I loved this man throughout the movie. Even his comedic parts in this movie is probably like one of the best comedic parts or comedic things about the movie, in my opinion. Of course, this is all my opinion. But yeah, and Lois Lane should be what Lois Lane is like. She's work first, relationship second. She's career oriented, and she's a powerful woman. She says what she thinks. And they do that a very good job. Of course, they don't really have too much on like the Lois and Clark relationship too much, because we don't really see Clark Kent in this movie that much. Maybe 3-4 scenes, and that's not even too much. You see him talking to his parents, you see him once at the Daily Planet, and that's about it that we see of Clark Kent. Other than that, that's Superman. And I get it, Batman kind of never focused on Bruce Wayne. James Gunn kind of did the same thing with Superman. I kind of hope we do get more Clark Kent later on, and I'm sure we will. But yeah, I mean, Lois was very enjoyable. Like I said, the only thing that was was we didn't really get to see too much a relationship between Clark and Lois, but you kind of did see that Lois truly does love Clark, and she does show it in this movie in her own way. Before I go on to talk what brought down this movie a little bit for me, I do want to talk about the fighting scenes. These were great. Mwah, chef's kiss. I mean, when Superman was surrounded by enemies, using his laser eyes, when he was flying, when freaking something happened to Crypto, everything looked so great. And when the camera would zoom down to his Superman symbol and then zoom back around, it looked so delightful and just so visual. It was so beautiful to my eyes. I know that might sound a little weird, but if you watch the movie, I feel like you will understand what I'm coming from. The fight scenes probably is what makes this movie so rewatchable, entertaining, and I love it so much. Alright, so as with every movie, there are flaws that kind of throughout this movie did bring it down a little bit, but saying that is not crazy amount. Number one is there was a lot of explaining. I know we're already in an established universe, but the biggest thing is like at the beginning of the movie, we have to learn about what Superman's parents is, and this robot is just explaining into it to another robot, I think, or it's supposed to be, but it's just a freaking exposition drop on the audience, and it's to tell us what Superman likes, not really the robot, and it just kind of feels weird because, there's no response from the other one, and it literally just feels like this robot's talking to the audience. And same thing with the kaiju. Like I said, it didn't really need to be explained, but like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, it's just there. And of course, I would love to see more Clark Kent. We didn't really get too much of him, maybe 5 minutes, and I don't know. Yeah, I get to, people want to see Superman, people want to see the superhero, but I feel like their backstory and what's happening in the backgrounds and their personal lives are also very interesting, especially with the part how they have to deal with having this personal life while also having to be this big superhero figure and be a protector of like the civilians or wherever they live or wherever they choose to protect, I guess, with superheroes. But yeah, I mean, this movie honestly doesn't really have a flaws I can pinpoint. I love this movie a lot. As I said, it's top three of the year for sure. There are a couple movies in front of it right now, and as we go throughout the year, more movies might come out that are better than it. So we'll see where it lands at the end of the year. But right now, it's at a very decent spot, I would say. Yeah, and people have more of a problem with the Justice Gang barely being in it than I do, because I feel like the Superman movie should more be about Superman, and these characters should just be side characters, of which they are. They don't really have arcs, anything except maybe Guy Gardner a little bit. Like, they have a little arc, but it's nothing too crazy, and I feel like it should be that way. You know, it's a Superman movie. Don't throw, like, crazy other characters into the mix, because I don't think I would really enjoy that as much, because all you're doing would be is taking away from the superhero I'm trying to watch. So yeah, I feel like James Gunn chose correct to not really show them too much, but also did have them a part of the movie to kind of fill out the universe, and obviously the first movie that's going to start this new universe. But yes, I enjoyed Superman so much. Top three, and it's three right now. So yeah, I guess we just got to get down to the out of 10 rating by me. Shit, I got probably got 9.3 out of 10. This movie's top tier, and the movies above this is even more top tier. So yeah, we've had a decent amount of good movies this year that I very much enjoy and very much can rewatch. So it's been a very good year for movies, I would say, at least. Alright guys, that's all I have to talk about today. If you haven't seen this movie, I urge you guys to go watch it in theaters. I want you to get those box office numbers up. I really want a sequel, or I want to see Superman more in this universe than we did in the last universe, at least. I don't know. Superman's always just been one of my favorites. You know, I know he's kind of OP, but when you kind of not make him OP and he goes up against villains that can actually take him on, it's very entertaining, especially when it's somebody like Lex, Brains versus Bronze. Very interesting matchup. But like I said, that's all I have to talk about today. Yeah, I mean, if you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. You know, I post, or I at least try to post, you know, every week, every other week. It's been a little slower here and there. But yeah, and if you like this video, obviously leave a like and comment down below how you feel about this movie. I know it's very mixed. So yeah, see you guys in the next one.